season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his speech and he goes, "Hit it, Rock!" And Set It Off by Boosie Badass played. As a young white man, it was my first time hearing that song, Set It Off. Yeah, we finna set it off. You heard me? I'm finna put you in the trash bag. Tired of all these knowing me right now, for real. You wanna talk shit? You wanna run your mouth? You want some gangster strut your mother in the house? We'll set this job. Yeah. And that was my first time hearing Set It Off. At Samford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video. That's my little bird dog right there, baby. Welcome back. Welcome back. We got one for you today, guys. Look at my little bird dog. You guys see his snout? You guys see him right there? Bottom left of the screen. Come here. Come on up, bird dog. Come on up, bird dog. Show your face. He gets camera shy. He's sitting right there. Welcome back to In the Jar Football Show. We might be talking about a little basketball today, guys. We got a situation going down in Tuscaloosa that needs unpacking. And we'll talk about championship weekend in the NFL today as well. We'll talk about the state of the SEC in football, of all things. And we might start there. I've got a mojito-flavored lip pillow in my lip. We are tuned up, fired up, and ready to go on today's rendition of the In the Jar football program. For anybody that's new, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you show support for the fastest growing football channel in the land. We're live every single day, Monday through Friday, weekdays. Sorry, shouldn't say 7 days a week. 5 days a week. Still pretty good. 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Did LeBron fall off? I don't know. He's getting old. You know what I mean? That's from, I said some Spitfly. That's from Om Patel, GP7WS. So, look, man, let's get right into it. I'm wondering whether or not if the SEC is not totally on the wrong path. I'm wondering if this mercenary style of college athletics is going to harm the passion of the fans in the most special conference in college athletics in America, the SEC. The players aren't going to have the same passion anymore. That's everything I heard growing up was, at least where I was growing up, was I like college. This is what people would say. I like college sports better than pro sports because it's amateur and there's more passion in it. There's more pageantry in it. And I just wonder what this mercenary mentality, this gangster, cutthroat, wild, wild west mentality that we have in college athletics right now, that it's not going to harm a conference like the SEC, guys. And I think it might harm it because just like the players are becoming less and less passionate, it's more about money and less about the team. Oh, my God. I hate when people text me on this show. Sorry, guys. You get that ding. I figured out that psychologically when you're doing something like this and you're trying to get into flow state, that when you get a text and that ding, pops in right there. It's really hard to access that flow state. Hello to Emily Jacinto Calderon. Hola. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, if you're new to the show, this is where we talk about college football. This is where we talk about pro football, and this is where we talk about everything else around it. In the jar, this is where we rant. This is where we get into it. This is where we talk about the elephant in the room. Get in the jar a little bit. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. But I'm just thinking about college athletics today. A main headline that has come across my desk today is a gentleman who's on the thumbnail today, Charles Bediako. Charles Bediako is a guy I have no idea about. We're going to get to know him together here today. Apparently, he was in the NBA G League, which is what the D League used to be. It's now called the G League. It's been called that for a couple years. And he played a game in Birmingham, Alabama, a few weeks ago. Played a game against the Birmingham Squadron and enjoyed his time there so much that he decided to come back for good and made his way down to Tuscaloosa. Nate Oates, the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide basketball program, is playing Charles Bediako against Tennessee on Saturday. Like I said, Bediako was playing in a G League game, an affiliate of the NBA, not a couple weeks ago, signed multiple NBA contracts, and is returning via the total transfer rule opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and make what that means concise. There are literally no rules in college athletics anymore. The complete collapse of the NCAA needs to be studied. Congress hasn't acted. Do they act on anything? I'm convinced at this point that politicians are just the rejects of society. Get rid of the hobos on the street. The real rejects in society are politicians, people who want to be liked by everybody but end up being liked by none, and completely ignore the fabric of some of the smaller southern communities in America in college athletics. You're goddamn right. Sorry, I shouldn't say GD. I got yelled at for my language on this show by the people that pay my bills. I shouldn't say the gosh darn word, but it fires me up, guys. Think about Oxford, Mississippi. Think about Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Think about Columbia, South Carolina. Think about Knoxville, Tennessee. Lexington, Kentucky. These teams are quite literally the fabric, the cultural fabric of these communities. And Congress continues to put it off like it's just another issue. They're putting billions of dollars into stuff. I don't want to get political, but it just pisses me off. Okay, what Congress needs to do, and Bruce Pearl, you guys know if you're college. I imagine if you're in here right now, you guys are decent level college sports fans. You guys know who Bruce Pearl is. Bruce Pearl weighed in on it, and he said the same thing I'm saying. He said Congress either needs to act now or just tell everybody, hey, we're not doing anything about this, so that we can all reroute and take a different path on how we're going to address college athletics for the future of the game. I worry about what the game, college football and other sports, are going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, if we continue down this path. So really what the story here is with Charles Bediako in Alabama is that there's no rules anymore. And what it's going to turn into in college athletics is, if you're not cheating, I mean, I mentioned this a couple days ago on the show. What is cheating anymore in college athletics? There's no concept of it. There's no concept of morals, no concept of ethics. I'm not taking a dump on Alabama basketball. I'm not saying anything bad about Nate Oates. I think Nate Oates is a splendid coach. I think he's done a great job reinvigorating that Alabama basketball program. But what precedent does this set for not just college basketball, but college athletics in general, when you have a guy who literally was 45 minutes from campus not 3 weeks ago playing professional basketball, is now getting ready to suit up in college basketball. It makes absolutely no sense. Now, Alabama's going to benefit getting his services back. And like I said, this ain't cheating anymore. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, this would be considered cheating. It's not considered cheating. And so, therefore, Nate Oates is going to take advantage of every single little loophole he can. And part of that is welcoming Charles Bediako back to the Alabama basketball program. I'm sitting here wondering if I don't know the head coach down in my alma mater anymore. They let my head coach go this past season, which made me very sad. But if my head ball coach was still down there at the Sanford Bulldogs, I wonder if I couldn't dial him up at 29 years old and say, hey, man, I'm in the best shape of my life. I feel like I am. Let me come down there. I'm about 225 pounds these days. Let me come down there and try out for you at the Mike or the Will linebacker. What you think? You think we'd be able to do that? I think with the stuff that's going on in college sports, that wouldn't be a far-fetched thing. Maybe I'd have to be able to run a little faster. I don't know if I could do that, but that's where we're at in college athletics. And the politicians, everybody who's in charge of this is being proven to be completely and utterly helpless and incompetent. Now, this might be a good thing for some programs. Let's read the specifics of this case here. Last Saturday, Charles Bediako scored 4 points and grabbed 3 rebounds to help the Motor City Crews defeat the Birmingham Squadron. It was a G League road game blowout. This was a homecoming of sorts for Bediako, who played for the University of Alabama from 2021 to 2023. The 3-year G League veteran apparently so enjoyed being back up in the state that he promptly quit his job as a professional basketball player, moved to Tuscaloosa, and re-enrolled in college. By Wednesday, the 7-footer had been granted a 10-day temporary restraining order that made him eligible to play for the Crimson Tide for the first time since the 2023 Sweet 16. And you're telling me that Trinidad Chambliss's eligibility is getting denied to play a 6-year at Ole Miss? What a joke! This is an embarrassment to everybody in the administrative roles governing college basketball. A complete and utter case of tomfoolery. Absolutely unbelievable. Ebony Payne asked me, can you talk? Yes, I can. So where do we go with this? What do we do? All we can do is continue to talk about it. All we do. Somebody just deleted their chat. I don't even know you could do that. It's really, really interesting. Because I remember if you even tested the waters to go to the NBA draft or the NFL draft, that you were ineligible in college athletics forever. So we got to set a precedent. The legal reality is you can't restrain trade rights. Eligibility rules still stand, but everything else doesn't, apparently. And any retribution equals a violation of law. Schools can't penalize Alabama, even though the situation is completely and utterly unprecedented. So I thought we'd open the show with that. It's just a complete joke on behalf of the people who are running college athletics. And they'll go up to the podium and say that I'd love to get a conversation with some of these folks governing college athletics just to see if they continue to try and stand on their hill, because that's the only reason that college athletics is making no progress and is in complete disarray, is because all of these dilapidated old heads can't get off of their hill and can't muster the humility to say, look, we were wrong. we've been doing things the complete wrong way for the last couple of years, and we're going to go ahead and get off of our hill of ego and pride. That's really what it boils down to, guys. That's why college athletics is in disarray right now, is because of ego and pride. Well, we hold ourselves to a high standard here at X, Y, and Z university, and we don't condone this type of activity and behavior. Look, I'm a man of God. You know, those kind of stale fucks. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my language. I got one F-bomb per episode, and I just used it. But these kind of people, they're cancer. It's almost like when you look at the generations of people out there in the world, you wonder if when the boomers are gone, if the world's not going to be a better place. I don't mean to make it that kind of rant, but it's the same kind of thing. These are the people that are leaving college athletics in ruins right now. And it's all because they don't have any humility. They don't have the wherewithal to say, we were wrong. Let's change our ways. Let's try and make this right. It's more important about being right than doing right. You guys follow me? So let's pivot to more positive storylines here. I'm not saying that the guy, Charles Bediako, coming back from the NBA to play in college basketball is necessarily a terrible thing. But when you look at the big picture, when you look at how this could affect things, that's where it really starts to become negative for me. So let's pivot to something positive here. Indiana's success is starting to permeate throughout the college football world, college athletics in general, and a lot of media programs like ours after they won the national championship just a couple days ago on Monday night. And now we're settling into some storylines that make things a lot more interesting in college football. A lot of media pundits are talking today about how a lot of these elite programs, these programs that hold themselves in such high regard, are regretful about how they've gone about things in the wake of Indiana's complete and utter turnaround and national championship victory on Monday. Indiana didn't just win. They exposed that other programs with more resources failed to do what they did. And here are some of the programs that should feel the worst. Penn State. Last championship in 1986, almost 40 years ago. James Franklin did everything right, built the program correctly. They let him go, many feel, unjustly. Penn State inquired about Curt Cignetti. You know what happened? Curt Cignetti said no, and he's a Pennsylvania native. He said, I'm staying in Indiana. That's a complete slap in the face to a so-called blue blood program. Tennessee, that's another one that should feel bad about watching what Indiana did. Last championship was 1998, 28 years ago. A lot of Vol fans are not happy with their head coach, Josh Heupel. A lot of people think he's a goofball. A lot of people think that his face looks weird, and a lot of people are upset at how the Tennessee football season culminated, losing a bowl game. The whole entire SEC should be ashamed about how bowl season ended up for them. And look, I was reading comments on my TikTok last night. I like to answer comments every other evening or something. And one gentleman pointed out the fact that nobody was commenting on the downfall of the Big Ten when the SEC won 3 national titles in a row with 3 different teams from 2019 to 2021. And I thought, that's a good point. Maybe the SEC still is the class of college athletics and college football because of the scrutiny that everybody's holding them under as a result of not winning a national title for 3 years. I'm just trying to make a Hail Mary spin on it. But Tennessee's another program that should really be thinking about how they're doing things as a result of Indiana's national championship. They got more resources. They're a perennially held in higher regard program than Indiana, and they still haven't found a way to figure it out since T. Martin was their quarterback. The AD's claiming we won't cheat. To me, that is saying that we're not going to take winning seriously. That's all that says to me. Talking about Tennessee's athletic director, I think his name's Danny White, saying we won't cheat. Okay, that means we just don't take winning serious enough then, huh? Because what is cheating today? There is no cheating in college athletics. What does cheating mean? I'd really be interested to hear what Tennessee's athletic director constitutes as cheating, because he'd probably constitute Charles Bediako coming back to play basketball for Alabama from the NBA G League as cheating. But nobody's enforcing that. The NCAA has lost any semblance of power, respectability. Respect and respectability are the same thing. But I remember as a player how much I feared doing the wrong thing in terms of catching repercussions from the NCAA. I feared the day that the NCAA would come in to audit us or to look at my classes, whatever it is. The NCAA has lost any respectability, any semblance of power, and it's all because these old heads sitting up top refuse to get off of their hill of ego and the pursuit of being right just for the sake of being right. We're human. We're all going to get things wrong. And the big old heads up top of the NCAA refuse to admit that they've been wrong about how they've navigated this. Notre Dame's another program that should look at Indiana's national championship and be disgusted with themselves. Notre Dame, I don't know if I have anything good to say about Notre Dame's athletic program. Maybe it's Marcus Freeman's painted on hairline. It looks like a damn BP oil spill. I don't like Notre Dame. I don't like how they feel entitled to get in the playoff. I still don't understand this whole thing around Notre Dame getting an automatic bid into the playoff. The whole thing just reeks of entitlement to me. They were promised this national championship 3,000 years ago. That's what Notre Dame reminds me of. USC and Miami are both perennially held in high regard programs that should look at Indiana's national title and reassess what they're doing. And I was thinking about this too, guys. I posted a clip yesterday about what has made Curt Cignetti different. What makes him stand out? What makes his program stand out? And yesterday I said talent evaluation. And I do think that's the most important thing. I feel like the way I said it, talent evaluation, doesn't quite give the entire picture justice. Obviously, with talent evaluation comes psychological evaluation of players, character evaluation of players. Are they a good fit in the building? Can I take this team, of which about half of them, maybe 70% of them, just got here this year? How can I take all of these relative strangers when they get on campus in June or July and make them a team? There's nobody better in college athletics at doing that right now than Curt Cignetti. Nick Saban was an absolute expert at it. Before NIL, growing up in Lexington, Kentucky, you had the joy of watching John Calipari with Kentucky basketball bringing in number one recruiting classes year in and year out. And back then in college basketball, the rules were in place, but different than college football. This is the old times in college athletics now, where the rule in football was you had to stay in school for 3 years before entering the draft. And in basketball, you could go for 1 year and enter the draft. John Calipari's Kentucky basketball program mirrored what's going on in college football right now. One and done. You're fielding new teams every year. Now, in terms of being team-oriented, basketball is a bit different than football. In basketball, you can bring on 1, 2, instrumental players and all of a sudden have a contentious team. Football, you obviously got to put together a lot more than that. I remember when John Calipari first came to Kentucky, they had just fired Billy Gillispie, and John Calipari brings in John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe, and all of a sudden you're a top 5, top 3 team in America. Football, you can't just bring on 3 players and expect to be a top 5 national championship contender all of a sudden. But the principle on the bigger scale holds true between John Calipari's basketball teams pre-NIL at Kentucky and today's football teams in college athletics on a broad scale. The job of a coach is not only to bring in the right tactical pieces on tape on the field. What can you do for the team schematically at your position, doing your job, X, Y, and Z? But how can a coach come in and create a real cohesive team? It starts in the locker room. It starts with team bonding activities. It starts with the narratives that you spin day in and day out to your team as a head coach. I was watching an old podcast. It was a Bussin' with the Boys podcast. 2 former Titans players, Will Compton, Taylor Lewan, doing a podcast with former Titans coach, now AFC Championship New England Patriots coach, Mike Vrabel. And they were talking about a clip that I remember to this day when Tom Brady posted it, talking about the lion and the jackals. And sometimes the lion has got to let the jackals know who he is. And Vrabel took that. This is a former teammate of Mike Vrabel, Tom Brady. Those guys won Super Bowls together in New England. Now Vrabel's got a chance to win a Super Bowl as the head coach of the New England Patriots. But Mike Vrabel came in to that Tennessee Titans team after Tom Brady spun that clip about the jackals and the lions and said, "Hey, you guys are jackals, huh? You guys are jackals." And you, as a head coach, that's a huge part of your job. I experienced it in a building, college football. I experienced it in a building in an NFL organization as well. It's all about how you spin narratives, how you get your team pissed off in just the right way to where they're focused and where they play cohesively, because the unit understands that they're more potent as a unit. Football is the most beautiful manifestation in my mind that we have in our world today of where teamwork can get you, how working together toward a goal bigger than any of us can help you get closer and closer to that goal. You might not get there. You might do all the right things and still not get there, but at least you know that you did all the things necessary to give yourself a chance to reach that goal. That's the beauty of it. You do it for the love of it, not necessarily what outcome you're going to get, because you don't know. It's sports. It's uncertain. It's a microcosm of life at the end of the day. And so that's what Curt Cignetti has, that a lot of these programs are trying to replicate but won't be able to. They can try and poach Curt Cignetti from Indiana all they want. Hey, come to Alabama. We got all the tradition, all the resources. You'll be much better off here. Meanwhile, Curt Cignetti just held up a national championship trophy for a team, a program that hasn't even thought of even getting to a national championship, let alone winning one. And I think it makes Lane Kiffin kind of look like an ass. Lane Kiffin did a beautiful job of building Ole Miss. And I said this on the podcast months ago. I said Lane Kiffin's not going to leave Ole Miss because he can do anything at Ole Miss that he can do anywhere else. And I stand by that take. The fact that I said Lane Kiffin wasn't going to leave was a cold take, but the premise behind the take still stands. You can do anything at any college football program in this day and age of the game as long as you evaluate talent the right way and build a locker room. Easier said than done. I do think that's something Lane Kiffin was good at. I do think Lane Kiffin made a mistake leaving Ole Miss, but that might too stand as a freezing cold take if LSU proves to be a program that is galvanized by Lane Kiffin's presence. But I think Curt Cignetti has shown that you can do anything you want at any program in college football. Yes, you need resources. Texas Tech's narrative is the best team that money can buy. And I think a lot of fans are still ill-advised spinning the narrative that the program with the most resources is going to win the most. Yes, resources are important. But if you don't have a head man that players listen to, a head man that can galvanize kids that were strangers in July and become boys that'll kill for each other by January, and a coach that has an eye for the right pieces, much like professional NFL roster construction, this is the blueprint that we're talking about. And people are going to try to replicate what Indiana did. They're going to try to create carbon copies of Curt Cignetti. You're probably going to have head coaches that start looking at the camera during games like this, like Curt Cignetti's doing. We're going to see how many copycats are out there. The NFL is a copycat league. And college football is now pro football, so I'd imagine college football is going to become a lot of copycat stuff. But you can't replicate an eye for talent. You can't replicate an eye for the right personalities that'll mesh in a locker room. You can't replicate the ability to galvanize groups of young men who were relative strangers in July to want to kill for each other by January and play their best ball. It's going to take some special folks. I'm not saying that Indiana and Cignetti are about to embark on the greatest dynasty in the history of college football. I'm not saying that. In fact, I feel the opposite. I think there's going to be a lot of programs that rise up, and any year can be any program's year. That's the exciting aspect of college football right now. The concerning aspect is the chaos, the lack of governance, the lack of accountability, the idea that the more you cheat, the better off you become. It's not ethically correct, and we're gonna reap what we sow in college football the longer we let that go on. Obviously, the hallmark of many small communities like Oxford, Mississippi, the cultural fabric of these communities are these teams, and the farther into disarray we go, the worse Congress looks. Not that they could look any worse than they already do. Like I said, I would argue that Congress people, politicians, are lower on the societal totem pole than the homeless people that you see on the street day in and day out. We talked about Bruce Pearl. Talked about Alabama basketball, Nate Oates. And look, if this Charles Bediako story with Alabama basketball holds out, and this kid gets to play the rest of the year, and there's no action, there's no nothing, people are going to start copying this. And again, college athletics is going to go deeper and deeper into disarray. I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't some sort of retroactive ineligibility penalty. Like, we've opened a can of worms, and this statement comes a dime a dozen. But in college athletics, we've opened a can of worms that cannot be closed. We just have to work with it, and a lot of the people up top need to accept the fact that they've been wrong. They've been la for too long, and they got to just accept the cold hard reality that this is the way it is now. Let's get into Championship Sunday. I've got a couple minutes left with you guys. We'll talk more about – we'll probably spend most of the episode tomorrow talking about the NFL Conference Championship games coming up on Sundays. There's some reverse line movement. I talked about Mike Vrabel and the Patriots a couple minutes ago. There's some reverse line movement with the Broncos-Patriots game. The Patriots opened as 5.5-point favorites, got 75% of public bets, but the line moved to 4.5, which – obviously is getting worse for New England, and sharp money is in on the Broncos. Listen, guys, if you think Denver is going to beat New England on Sunday, you're an idiot. I hesitate to make takes as severe as that. If you think that the Denver Broncos have a fighting chance against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game on Sunday, you're an idiot. And I would guess that this betting line movement with the public is bettors trying to just get a deal. Bettors trying to get a deal on it. Be contrarian just for the sake of being contrarian. There's no chance, guys, that Jarrett Stidham is able to beat the New England Patriots. It's a team game, right? The Broncos still got their defense. But we're going to see in the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship who's going to be the MVP. If Stafford wins and Drake May both win and face off in the Super Bowl, Stafford's probably going to win the MVP. But let's say that Seattle beats the LA Rams at home like I think they will, and the Patriots advance to the Super Bowl like I think they will. Drake May is your MVP in the NFL this year. It's as plain and simple as that. I don't even think that's a hot take, really. But my hot take for today is that if you think the Denver Broncos with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback are going to beat Mike Vrabel's New England Patriots, you're an idiot. You're as dumb as they come. No shade to the Broncos, man. I'm just trying to state an objective reality here. If Bo Nix is in the game, it's a bit different. But you got Stiddy, and I'm not trying to throw shade at old Stiddy either, man. You got a guy on the other side of the ball, Drake May, who's playing his absolute balls off. Denver Broncos defense now, I will say, are playing their absolute balls off. They are the last defense standing in the Texans, Broncos, best defense in the league debate. But I just don't see Denver beating the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship in any world ever with the situation that these teams are currently in. I just don't see it. Denver will be at home, which is an advantage. But I think you're going to see that home crowd down there at Mile High be deflated fast in this AFC Championship. More to come on that tomorrow. Let's cover we kind of did cover the NFC Championship quickly, but let's cover that quickly, get you guys out of here. We'll see you tomorrow after that. But Mike Macdonald, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, by the way, the Baltimore Ravens just hired the Chargers defensive coordinator, what's his last name? Starts with an L. I can't remember his name, but he was with Baltimore. I need to go on Twitter and see how Ravens fans feel about the new hiring at the head coach. That's the second head coach of the AFC North now. Still two more hirings to go. Apparently, Mike McCarthy was interviewing for the Pittsburgh Steelers job, interviewed for the Tennessee Titans job, but then put that on ice to pursue the Pittsburgh Steelers job. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Mike McCarthy ends up being the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Mike Macdonald, who was the defensive coordinator in Baltimore, rookie head coach with Seattle Seahawks, done a phenomenal job with that team. His first meeting as Seahawks coach, he set the stage. January, NFC Championship, 30-some degrees, wet, windy. That's hell for them. Perfect for us. And that's exactly what's going to be happening on Sunday. His 9-month prediction comes true 21 months later. This is what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what level of football you're talking about. If you got a head coach that can paint a picture, if you got a head coach that can spin a narrative, that's what I hope we effectively do on this show each day. If you're a head coach that can set the stage, paint a picture, create a narrative, you're going to galvanize your team. You're going to have them motivated as hell to fight for each other. And that's exactly what Mike Macdonald's done in Seattle. I got the Seahawks beating the LA Rams in the NFC Championship just for that reason. He laid out the vision. And 21 months later, you got exactly that scenario. He basically pulled out the crystal ball with that first team meeting as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. 11 guys playing as one every single snap. That's football. That's how I'm going to end the show today. I'm going to head to jiu-jitsu We got a competition coming up February 7th. Hey, look, guys, if you're in here for the first time, welcome. Hope you enjoyed the program. We're live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, every single weekday, talking about football, talking about college athletics, NFL, you name it. I imagine if your algorithm brought you here, you like ball, and if you like ball, you're going to love our show. That's really all I've got for you. Hit that subscribe button. Follow In the Jar Clips on Instagram for daily clips. Clark Dupree on TikTok, and obviously the main prerogative is for you to hit that subscribe button right down there, I believe, somewhere close to there. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. If you're popping in just now, we are heading offline. You can watch replays of all of our shows, all of our episodes right here on YouTube. You can listen to them on any audio platform you can find. And that is my cue to head out. Guys, I love you. Appreciate you watching. We'll be back here tomorrow to cap off the week. In-depth preview of championship weekend in the NFL. I'm sure we'll have more college athletics, college football storylines developing tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Hope you got some value out of it. I hope that you maybe got a laugh. You know, just sitting around the fire having a little talk. All right. Love you guys. I'm heading out now. Subscribe, mofos. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Snowy said bear down, man. I'm sorry, man. I wanted y'all to win. I really did. But it's going to be an NFC West matchup in the conference title game. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, so subscribe so you don't miss it, motherfucker.